The young dwarf tending to the stew looks up, startled as he sees you approach. He drops his ladle, spattering stew across the ground. What? The bandit turns. Get him, you dogs, and make sure our new cook don't run off. Help! Please, help me! One of the bandits gives Tenfirth a kick as they pass him, and he huddles.
Gods keep you.
By the flame, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I thought I'd be stuck cooking food for these ignorant weasels for the rest of my life, or until they were bored with me, I suppose. I must get back home. I only hope they haven't hired a replacement. He looks aghast. Listen, next time you're in Guildford Vale, stop by the Black Wand Inn. I'll let Posca know just what you done for me, and I'm sure she'll do right by you in turn. Oh, to be back at my oven again! These aged walls appear to have once encircled this glade. Only a small fragment remains, and the stairs leading to the top have crumbled away. The heavy bricks are slick with moss, presenting a hindrance to climbing, but the stones themselves seem sturdy enough. Given the right tools, one might easily reach the top. You find a handhold and pull yourself up, but the uneven bricks and on angle of ascent make your climb difficult, and after a short distance, your arms burn fiercely. You are forced back to the ground.
Hail, traveler.
This man appears to be hurriedly dismantling his camp in quick, jerky movements. He looks up as you approach, his expression tense and drawn. Greetings? On your way south, is it? Have to say, don't see too many Alma out this way. You headed to Defiance Bay? A lot of work at the harbor, I hear. Keep your nose in your business before it gets lopped off. I didn't mean anything by it, honest. I just thought I'd warn you. We were attacked just north of here, me and a friend. We were come out here to hunt and figured we'd bring home a stag and something for bread. Came up on a bear instead. Great monstrous thing, and Pearly, he didn't make it. I don't know what I'll tell his wife. Where did you find this bear? In a cave up that way. A figure drifts, suspended in the musty air of the cavern. Its form and features blur and twist in cascading ripples of incandescence. You feel its energy eddying about your limbs, filling them with a heavy chill. You reach out a hand for the spirit. In the moment of contact, you feel as if you've been struck a blow, head reeling as you tumble helplessly into waiting darkness. Light blooms at the edge of your vision. You feel the sun at your back and the weight of a bow in your hand. You know suddenly that you've come a long way from the Vale, hunting deer. Now you are standing before a cavern, and the darkness extends far into its depths. Even so, your friend strides out before you, his red cloak flapping at his heels. You follow, heart hammering in your chest, as he leads you deeper into the cavern. There is a roar like thunder echoing around you. Fear seizes you, casts you stumbling back towards the exit, towards light and escape. You see a glint of steel and sudden terrible flash of agony behind your knee. You scream, stumble, fall. Your thoughts are chaos, laced through with pain. But in a moment of terrible clarity, you see your friend look back from the mouth of the cavern, his dagger daubed crimson to match his cloak. And then there is a great, dark shape above you, and then more pain. The vision recedes, and you are thrown back into yourself with seemingly resentful force. The corpse lies at your feet, and the specter lingers, In the span of energy between you both, you feel a sense of questioning, of confusion, of anger. You were betrayed. Only a fool couldn't see it coming. A sudden lashing anger emanates from the spirit. Rage and grief seem to pour from the figure like smoke. You're dead, spirit. There's nothing for you here. The spirit roils with thwarted anger and grief. Sorrow seems to seep into the very air. The spirit dims and fades until you're alone once more.
The longer we walk, the more lightly you'll have to sleep.
You must be one of the new settlers. Welcome to Gilded Vale. You'll be pleased to know that we've had some recent vacancies here.
Do you welcome everyone this way? The only answer you hear is the buzzing of flies from the tree.
Of course, we'll need to make some inquiries first. The inestimable Lord Radric VII has taken great pains to insulate our town from Widewind's legacy. Have you ever sired a Hollowborn child?
Mind your own damn business.
The well-being of this village is my business. You'd best get used to the idea if you intend to live among us. I should warn you, stranger. Here in Gilded Vale, we have a special place for dissidents, charlatans, and those who would hide a curse in our midst.
He steps to the side and inclines his head ever so slightly toward the deformed tree.
His lordship's wife is with child and due any day now. Without his approval, I shan't be able to find you a permanent settlement. It will have to wait until after the birth. We can continue our interview then, after the bell tolls from Radric's hold to signal my lord's new heir. In the meantime, you can find temporary accommodations at the inn just southwest of here.
That tree. Ah, yes. Not everyone has accepted the measures necessary to keep the village safe. Ever since Lord Radric banished the mothers of Hollowborn, some have taken up arms against him. And while he's been searching for a cure, he's been beset with frauds and opportunists. We've had ciphers, wizards, and animancers come through town, taking the Lord's coin, promising to end the curse. Lord Radric finally decided to make an example of those who would profit from our tragedy. The latest was an animancer from the Valian Republics who claimed to know the technique none of us had seen. By now, we've seen it all. You said something about Hollowborn and Widewind's legacy before. I forget that you foreigners do not have this curse in your homelands. The Hollowborn have been a scourge upon the Drearwood for almost 15 years now, children born without souls. Pitiful dumb things that breathe, barely, but do not truly live. Some say they're disease, some say they're punishment from the gods. In truth, no one knows, but they began spreading after the Saints' War, and so the name Widewind's legacy stuck, in honor of the foul, blasphemous pretender. Lord Radric decrees may seem strict, but he has our best interests at heart. I've been feeling strange ever since a close call with the Bivouac. Is there anyone in town who could help?
Whatever your problem, it sounds like a matter for an animancer. However, the only animancer in Gilded Vale isn't in any condition to speak. Consider yourself fortunate. After she failed Lord Radric, we saw to it that she wouldn't profit from the misplaced trust of others. A bad cure is often worse than none at all. But if you're set on finding a bottle of troll piss or a dead Audra pebble to rub on your forehead, you're welcome to check her pockets. A little corpse stink is nothing when you're digging for shit. My advice, however, is to be satisfied that you escaped and leave it at that.
Before I got here, I saw several people conducting a ceremony near some ruins. You'll want to mind where you mention that. Trespassing on Anguithan ruins is illegal, not to mention dangerous. You probably saw someone attempting some ritual to appease their gods. People will try anything these days, but Arath have mercy, we certainly have. Maybe so. I guess this, I'd like to report a murder. As is your duty, what has happened? The man called Naunton has killed his friend Pearly out in the wilds. A cruel and cowardly deed, if it occurred at all. What evidence do you had? A vision. We do not take such accusations lightly in these parts. Next time you feel inclined to jest about such things, I would suggest that you reflect upon the risks involved.
Keep out of...
Listen!
2 tolls. Let that be the last.
3. Gods have mercy.
It seems your arrival is ill-timed. 3 bells toll only for the death of a Radric. I fear Lord Radric's heir is lost, or else Hollowborn, and so lost all the same. You should tread carefully. Circumstances have changed a great deal.
Don't threaten me, little man. It is no threat, only a warning. Lord Radric will tolerate no threats to his kin or those who live upon his lands. Grief will not make him more docile. Does this affect his offer to new settlers? I can be sure of nothing right now. I advise you to get some rest. The inn or stable for all I care. Find me afterwards. I'll know more soon enough. What happened? I will know more when the messengers arrive. The vagaries of childbirth, perhaps? But that is not your concern. What do you mean? You come to us at a time of mourning. The legacy has struck at the heart of Gilded Vale. Our efforts to redeem ourselves in the eyes of Barath must be redoubled. Farewell.
Were you looking for someone in that tree? I could introduce you.
Strange way to talk about your dead. Half the town's up there now. Seems like no right way to talk about it. I don't think I'll be needing any help. Seems you're better off than most around here, then. You see 4 people gathered by the door of an inn. Their raised voices and chopping gestures suggest an argument reaching its climax. The first figure raises his hands for calm, his face partially obscured by a hood, but his height and stature suggest elf.
I meant no offense. Let's put this matter to rest over a round, shall we? My treat.
Hoping to soothe our pride with a few Adira coppers, eh? We don't need your coin.
One of the other men glares at the hooded elf. His eyes are red from drink, but his gaze is focused. You got a lot of gall mocking us in our own village. We don't take ill treatment from foreigners, especially not Adarians.
Go on. Say it again. I'm itching for an excuse.
Fie, you're itching for the kindling touch of your sister, you cocksfeather!
I'll cut that barrel-licking tongue out of your head.
This is a misunderstanding. I didn't say whatever it is you think I said. We've nigh quarrel.
That's where you're wrong.
You're not going to take that from him, are you? No, and we're not taking it from you either. Oh, that worked. As the last of the attackers fall, the elf turns to you, tension gone from his
Not
face.
quite how I hoped to get to know the neighbors. Thank you for your timely assistance with that awkward situation.
Actually, that was fun.
Then I can't imagine you lack for entertainment in these parts.
He straightens his hood, and you note the remains of fraying embroidery on his gloves. His boots are caked with the dirt of many months' travel, but the leatherwork beneath it is sturdy and
I
fine.
suppose introductions are in order after that little fiasco. Aloth Corvisor, at your service.
You'd better have more to say for yourself than that. Please, I didn't mean to drag you into this.
Well, I'm a wizard by training, and an adventurer by necessity. I was born in the Seathwood, part of the mainland of the Adir Empire, and both of my parents served the nobility, which afforded me an education for which I'm grateful. However, there were no open positions in those houses, and so I decided to seek new means in a new land. And how exactly did you come to be here?
I was traveling with a caravan, but we were separated near some ruins.
In Gwithan Ruins? Well, those can be dangerous places during the best of times, which these are not. And half the locals would arrest you for trespassing, and the rest would kill you outright. I'm curious, what exactly did you find there?
Be a walk.
And you survived? I've heard such a thing was impossible. But it seems you either have a knack for timing or the favor of the gods.
I should get going.
As should I, given recent events. It's just as well. I've had enough of the watered wine and lumpy beds at the inn. They say even the owner tired of the place. Just up and left one day. It explains quite a lot about the upkeep. Perhaps I could join you. I could use a change of scenery, and I find it's better to travel in numbers.
So do I.
Excellent. I shall follow you.
Hail and well met.
Hello, and welcome to the... Oh, it's you! Tenfrith told us what you did for him. It's such a relief to have him back. I can't thank you enough. Consider yourself a favorite on the house. Discounts on drinks, rooms. He even said he wanted to whip up something nice for you. He's already back to work in the kitchen. So, what would you like? I'd like to know more about the Black Hound. Really? Well, let me see. The actual building's been here for years, but the Black Hound's fairly new. We got a lot of new faces. Fewer than we used to, I'll admit. Tenfrith's the big draw. I'm sure we'll get the crowds back in no time. I used to work the tables, actually, until the old owner up and left. Nobody's sure what happened to him. Even left his poor hound behind. That's the name, you see, the Black Hound. It's still sitting upstairs, pining after him, poor old girl. Place ended up in my hands somehow. My very own inn. A lot of hard work involved, but it's been worth it so far. Let me see what you have for sale. Your sleep is restless and fevered, assaulted by hisses and whispers, blanketed with a suffocating anxiety. You open your eyes to awaken and find yourself in front of Gilded Vale's gallows tree. The creaking of its ropes growing louder in your mind until the sound is deafening. Hanging from the tree is an old dwarven woman, whose face is shriveled inward like a moldering fruit. Her head hangs limply to one side. As you look at her, she looms larger and larger in your mind, until she's mere inches from your face. Suddenly, her head snaps up, and her eyes open, and they are empty, and behind them is a vast nothingness that makes your stomach drop. Her mouth slowly parts, and with a gust of rancid air, she speaks a word. Watcher! You jolt awake, the foul smell of her breath still permeating your nostrils. Sweat runs down your face in thick droplets, and your skin is soaked from head to toe. You remember the woman. You remember seeing her decaying face when you spoke with the magistrate. He called her an animancer. Though it fills you with a new queasy apprehension, you feel a strange compulsion to see this woman once more, if only to confirm that she is truly dead. The squat, distended body of an elderly dwarven woman dangles from a thin, crooked bow that sags at the tug of her noose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope that suspends her, and her lifeless head lolls forward, rigidly, from one side to the other when the breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her that casts no light on its surroundings, but there is a tepid warmth to it, and you feel somehow that you could reach out and touch it. Not with your hands, but with some aspect of yourself that has no worldly dimension. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focusing on your objective. As you exhale, you feel yourself spreading out toward the hanging woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with a new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you have expended enough to reach her, there's a sudden jolt to your mind, a ringing, electric surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes and feel yourself being pulled down to some deeper unconsciousness, in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman. And when you open them again, she is staring at you with eyes clouded in a milky fog, her body still swaying in a wind. You no longer feel from the tree that stands planted in a misty void. The woman gives you a slow nod of her head, the rope creaking as she does so, and she smiles.
Have you come here for me, dear, or have you gotten lost? Ah, it is both, I think. Yes?
Am I imagining this?
No, I think not. A pity that. It would be simpler. A mercy, even. To not have to wander anymore, no? Alas, we are here, you and I. Wherever here may be.
How are you able to speak to me?
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
I need to understand something that's happened to me. She nods, a look of pity on her face as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there. You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
What is a watcher?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, though. Not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair. And here we are, visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times. Souls pass on. Some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either leaving or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how. A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them. Know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well. A wonder.
What did you mean, when all goes well?
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties. You should see old Merwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
I think I survived a Beowalk. Do you know why that would be?
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something, wouldn't it? Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing. Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Called them. Those days are all behind me, no?
You said souls break apart over time?
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die and pick up pieces of others when we are born again, but less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. No. A very small few resist Rimergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
I want to know something about you.
Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
Who are you?
And here I thought you'd come to visit me in particular. Caldara de Baranzi, of the Valian Royal Academy of Animantic Sciences. Not the greatest of their number, but I came here all the same because this was where help was needed.
What happened to you? She laughs, a rasping, choked cackle, escaping between rows of buttery yellow teeth, causing her body to bob up and down with each spasm.
Oh, come now. Such a question. As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an old dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? Offered my services to Lord Radric for a pittance. A humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found?
Tell me.
Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord. She is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up.
What's an animancer?
A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been made. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us? The best? Inspirations. Miracle workers. My parents were soul twins. Miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other, turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid. It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Deerwood that does not control the research, no? I love the Valian Republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear.
Farewell.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
I was granted Crucible of the Soul. Are you alright? You seems lost just now. Yes, I'm fine. I'm a watcher. I expect that explains how you survived the bivouac, huh? In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share some things. Let's go.
Yes. As you wish.
17 and a half.
We regard you with a peculiar smirk.
17 and a half. No, it could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman.
What are you talking about?
The people hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted, anyway.
Is that what you people do for fun around here?
Name's Adair. Though to the people around here, might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved.
What was that about a dwarf?
The dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta.
What makes you think I was interested in the dwarf woman?
I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked. Your mouth was so slack I took you for a Radric at first.
What's it to you? You'll have to forgive my curiosity. Around here, we prefer to turn a blind eye to our dead. It's none of your business. Fair enough. If folks around here mind their business and the tree over there to have a few less wind chimes, maybe I should take heed. I'll leave you to your corpse flirting. Actually, relatively sure if you're polite to him, he can join your party, but I could give a fuck. As you near the soul, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence. Voices of the past call out to you. You see a pennant waving, tall and sluggish in the wind, a rising sun embroidered on the banner. The vanguard of a small troop of paladins, the atmosphere is buoyant, if restrained, and their armor has not yet been tarnished by the elements. The expedition is fresh, young, filled with zest and zeal. At their head stands a commander, awkward in full armor, but determined in step. Despite the excitement of his fellows, he does not smile. There's a twist to his mouth, his countenance grim. He throws up a hand, halting his troops. Silence falls, revealing a dark thunder, deep and low. He orders them to ready their weapons and spread out, eyes darting from horizon to horizon, neck twisting to see the source of the sound. In the distance, dust and lightning rise from the ground as Stygian clouds race towards them overhead. The soldiers stand, only the staccato movements of their breath betraying their nerves. The commander closes his eyes, calling a blessing down on the troops. Invigorated, invincible, they wait as the enemy draws closer, poised to attack. This man and woman appear to be deep in conversation, working at closing two bulging satchels. They move to embrace until the woman notices your approach and pauses, her smile faltering.
Well met, friend.
Can we help you? Do you know this man, Naunton? Yes, I think we met in the Velwood. I warned him about the bear. Glad to see you made it. Was there something else you wanted? I know what really happened in that bear cave, Naunton. I don't know what you mean. I told you the truth of it. Are you accusing him of something? If this is about the accident, we're both grieving Pearlie's loss. But it was a wild animal's doing. What would make you suggest such a thing? I had a vision in the cave. I saw Pearl's last moments as he lived them. I saw you cut him with the knife. That's not possible. How could you possibly know? I left no sign. Naunton, wait. I don't know what you saw in that cave, but this isn't what you think. Pearlie, my husband, he was as much a beast as that bear. I tried to leave the first time I suffered his temper, but he wouldn't have it. Naunton, he met, and I knew I'd found someone special. Someone kind, who cared for me. Please, all we want is to leave. To start somewhere else. We got some coins saved up. You can have it, if you'll only let us go. Pearlie doesn't get a second chance. Neither do you. Blind fool. You won't take this from us. Not for that rich.
Yes.
These ones.
Bring them down. Attack! No
And justice is served. Mostly.
Of course.
My first truly evil act.